Testing, testing. I'm just checking the audio. Uh, I am probably gonna go ahead and just start recording. I know a lot of people couldn't make it today. Um, let's see if there's anybody that wanted to be here. Okay, I'll just go ahead and start presenting. This is a first. My name is Michael Beebower. I'm the CSSO president for the fall semester of 2021. I'm presenting an introduction to Java coding workshop today. Um, we'll talk about the different, like a background of Java, and then differences between other languages such as Python and C++. And then we'll go about talking about some of the basics of the Java file structure, and go into the different IDEs that you can use in order to code with Java. And we'll end about talking about how you can even run it from the command line. Let's see. For everyone that would like to, you can go to this Google form and note your attendance. It'll help us keep track of attendance for student life purposes, but also we can add you to our GitHub and connect with you on our Discord server for the CSSO organization. The first thing that I would like to say is that if you're to start out, you want to go to start downloading your IDE. I recommend JetBrains IntelliJ just because it's my preference. It's what I'm familiar with, but there's many other JetBrains IDEs out there. I mean, many other Java IDEs out there. I know Eclipse is a very popular one. NetBeans and Dr. Java I haven't heard about. And let's see. Whoops. Howdy.
Howdy. Oh, is it just me?
There was somebody else. Let me check. Oh,
Oh, my audio is causing echoes. Whoopsie.
that's alright.
Something's off with my what's the word? My camera. For some reason, it seems to be doing a thing where like OBS's virtual camera is like the only one that exists.
Okay.
I don't know why it's doing that though. But because of that, like I can't like show my face, I guess.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, it might be. Let's see. Give me a second. There was somebody else trying to join, and I hope um I didn't do something to cause them to not be able to join. Huh. Okay, well, let's see. Just to make sure, you can see what I am presenting, correct? You can see like a presentation screen.
Yes, I can see a presentation screen.
Okay. And I'm recording this just. Is that okay? Just because some other people couldn't make it and want to see it later.
Oh, that's fine for me, man.
Okay. Just making sure. Let's see. Oh, I'm
Do
so
I have to launch OBS to stop it? Yeah, what's up?
Oh, yeah, I'm just confused that there was somebody trying to connect and um okay,
Was somebody trying to connect like right before I joined in? Because that could have been me.
it might have been you. It might have been you then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um so okay, that's good. Also, yeah, I'll start over. Of course you know who I am, and you know that this is the intro to Java. Um
Yeah, I'm technically taking a I am technically taking a Java course right now, but like, God forbid, it's one of those classes that don't have a actual like class or anything, so I've been mostly just book learning it.
Okay. Um,
It's been a rough ride.
wait, who's teaching it? Is it Baldwin that's teaching it?
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like I think he gave like a textbook thing that he wrote up or something, and then like we just read the individual sections and then do the online assignments and quizzes that he puts up. But I haven't actually had an actual class with him.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I think he just I had I had started taking the I mean, this was like pre-pandemic. I had started taking the first Java class, the OOP Java with Baldwin, but then I dropped it because it was just just his style was not my style, and
I can kind of feel that. Like, I mean, I guess like he's not technically teaching me. I've just been like figuring it out as I go along.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like, yeah, the assignments because of how like it's set up though, it's like you either get it 100% right or you just get it wrong, and it's like I'm not gonna be able to tell until like he grades it.
Oh, so he hasn't started grading any of them yet.
No, it's more like when you're given the default like program stuff. If you run it by itself, like the class that's you're supposed to overwrite, um, there's like a prepackaged version of it where it will show you like what the answer is supposed to look like.
Right, I'm familiar with what
Yeah,
he
yeah,
expects.
and you're supposed to write a code that's supposed to
Mimic,
fulfill that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's but yeah. So yeah. I had well, just to let's see. What I would suggest as far as strategy for that class, the two ways that that I know that you'll be able to make it in that class. Let's put it that way to pass it. The two ways that I've heard of people doing are, eh, I mean, maybe you'll just get it. You'll just get it. But one way is editing. I know because he focuses on graphics and pixel editing and stuff like that. So one way is to, even though it's not part of the assignment, is if yours doesn't match his exactly pixel by pixel, is to actually go in and just put in code that goes in and edits the pixels. Even though that's not what he's asking you to do,
Because it looks correct.
he
Therefore,
he
technically, like the program doesn't care.
he as far as his grading goes, if you start getting zeros for your assignments, that's one way that I knew somebody that went and he just looks at the output image and sees if it matches exactly his output image.
Yeah, I remember one of the first classes I took at ACC, like the teacher complained about that in regards to the online grading stuff, where it's like if it looks the same, then like for all intents and purposes, the program treats it as the same.
I knew somebody that got like an A in his class just doing that. Like, he would try to, start off with coding it the way that he thought would complete the assignment, but then when it didn't exactly match, he would go in and edit the pixels, and then he got hundreds. Uh,
I mean, props for him for gaming the system, I guess.
there's another way to do it. You could also reverse engineer or decompile the .class files that he gives you.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out after like I was doing one where it's like, um the way the classes work is that they'll talk about what to do in Java, but not necessarily like anything involving like the terminology and stuff. So being still a beginner, it took me a while to figure out the whole like going into a different class deal, where it's like you're
Oh,
taking the information from a different CS file. Uh,
yeah.
so it's like I was like opening up all the files and I just realized, hey, this looks kind of like the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna look away from that and maybe try to figure it out. But this is kind of nice to have here. But like, hmm,
Well, the way that understood Java is that more or less everything is an object. Um,
Yeah, the current thing I'm supposed to be reading for Java is that like um what is encapsulation, what is inheritance, like those three major things, and I'm looking at it and going, "Oh, I'm about to step into the deep end now, aren't I?"
it forces you. I mean, and so when you have smaller programs, the concept of OOP, object-oriented programming, is it doesn't seem intuitive. Like it's like, why do we even need objects and classes? I mean, why can't we just do everything as functional programming? For everything in a function or a method or whatever. Uh, I guess when you start dealing with larger programs where you start repeating code, or you start, I guess when you start having multiple files, it starts to make more sense when to have the concept of classes and objects and such. It's easier. It's easier. There's just an aha moment that eventually happens. Let's
I know.
see.
It's one of those things where it's like I think if I see it in action, I'll be much more okay with it. But man, this is such like a general coding thing that's always kind of annoyed me. It's like we're not gonna tell you the solution on how to do this. You have to figure it out. And then once you figure it out, like after many many hours, you're like, man, I wish I just saw this because like I was going around in circles for a while.
So, are you taking that class this semester?
Yes, yes, I am currently taking that class right now.
Okay.
I'm actually a little bit ahead of the curve, supposedly. Like I have like a full like week, 2 weeks before I have to do my next assignment.
Okay. Um, let's see. Let me. Well, just so. Let's see. Just so that you. Okay, let me make sure I'm doing everything I need to do here. Uh, what is this? Oh, okay, got you. Um, oh, I'm still getting used to some of these controls here. Um, if you are able to, let's see. If you're able just to fill out the attendance form, I'm trying to get it to copy it, and
You might have to get out of the presentation mode for that.
yeah, let me stop presenting for a second, I guess. Uh,
I guess this is supposed to be a regular workshop. It should probably be like you should. I guess you should probably go through the motions
uh,
instead of it being singularly targeted for me.
no, well, I mean, people will pick up and it'll be fine. But okay, I'm gonna post in the chat here just the link to the form, but people can see. Okay, so I'm gonna represent, and we'll go from. Okay, so I'm trying to see. Okay, can you see the PowerPoint again that I'm showing?
Not currently, no.
Okay, okay, got you. Let's do window. Okay, there we go.
Yep, there. Yeah, came back.
Okay, so what IDE do you have installed, or do you have an IDE, or are you just using like a text editor to code in Java?
Right. It was recommended for me to use Dr. Java,
Oh,
but um, yeah, no, I was having some horrible compiling errors that I could not deal with. So eventually, I just said, forget it, and I just decided to use um, Visual Studio Code.
oh, okay. Yes, I know that. See, a lot of other people use Visual Studio VS Code, and I think you could probably use it for almost any language out there, or it seems almost as such. There's some obscure.
Yeah, no, I do have this weird bit where I'm not quite sure why it's causing it, but I think it's just like this like thing I didn't set up correctly where after I'm done coding it in VS Code, I actually have to compile it with the command prompt and then do it again just to make absolutely sure.
Interesting. Well,
Cause no, sorry, I'm using Visual Studio 2019, not Visual Studio Code. I know there's some difference between the two of them, but
right. VS Code seems to be more lighter weight, whereas Visual Studio is like at the full blown
yeah,
heavyweight.
yeah, Visual Studio requires that I have like I have to select like the folder that encapsulates the entire thing instead of just the code itself.
Um,
Um,
so
yeah, yeah,
would you be willing to install IntelliJ?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and do that? If you can go to jetbrains.com or I have the yeah jetbrains.com, and then I recommend getting the Toolbox app. Let's see. Let me open up another window and just so that I'm going through this as well.
Isn't it kind of weird? I mean, this is like a general coding thing. Isn't it kind of weird to have like a whole bunch of different coding toolboxes for like each code that you work with?
I mean, I have gone back and forth between multiple. Like, I mean, sometimes I mean, like basically when I'm figuring something out, like sometimes I'll go back and forth between two or sometimes three different IDEs if I'm having trouble.
Hmm.
That being said, sometimes I even go back and forth between different OSs like Linux and Windows if because sometimes you get different errors. Like it'll tell you it'll shine more light or whatever on what's really going on sometimes like if it's in a different environment. um
Right, like I was kind of worried about that to some degree because like I'm using Visual. I have to use Visual Studio uh 2019 specifically for my my gaming C sharp class because that one has like the mono game engine that you can just download for free that you can use.
okay.
But like for my C++ programming fundamentals class, I have to use dev C++.
Okay.
And for the Java class, I was originally using Dr. Java, but that thing ran like crap. So like I had to run Visual Studio yeah, Visual Studio for that. But
i
it's like I had to figure out buttons for that and everything. It's like
I think I've downloaded all the ones that I have. Like I've downloaded Dr. Java, I downloaded NetBeans, and I've done Eclipse, I've done IntelliJ. um I don't think I've tried coding in Visual Studio with Java, but I've used it
The
for other
y
things.
y yeah, the notes for Dr. Java seem to imply that like you could use other IDEs, but like Dr. Java seems to be specialized for Java specifically. But like I think the instructions were written kind of old because
Yes.
there's like different versions of Dr. Java that seems to like the reason like my compiler couldn't work is because apparently they took out something that used to be there when the instructions were written, but like the only way I can get it is by like making an account to get like the old version of Dr. Java, which seemed too much like effort to care about at that point.
Okay, I think what you're talking about specifically is Baldwin's notes or instructions haven't been updated. Um, but
Yeah, it's likely.
but that being said, also think Dr. Java. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think it's as popular of a IDE, and that
Hmm.
it's not being updated as much as some of the other IDEs.
Yeah, I can see that.
It just seems like it doesn't have a lot of features to it. Like I think it's
Hmm.
lighter weight than some of the other IDEs, but really, I mean,
I tried Googling Dr. Java like after I was having issues, and like people were like, "Why are you using Dr. Java?"
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it's not popular, it's not common. I think that's probably just what Baldwin became comfortable, and that's his preference. But I mean, I think you should try out some different IDEs just to see what. I mean, see if one
Feels good.
feels better than the other. Yeah, yeah. Just see what you prefer.
Hmm.
So okay, so basically, if you've downloaded the toolbox,
I have downloaded it, yes. I've hit the point where like I'm getting it's asking for like which like version of it I should they want me to download, I guess.
Oh, for the IntelliJ?
Yeah, it's IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate, IntelliJ IDEA Community. Well, if you
I'll
were planning to install it, I guess for the workshop, you should probably show it off too.
Okay, let me. So let's see how I would do the. Like, I just think it was having some issues when I was.
Well, actually, the things that's asking me which ones to download are actually on your screen
I
right
mean,
now.
it's Ultimate
Uh,
that you want to download.
uh-huh.
Let me see if I can screen capture this. Let's see, cancel. Let me see if there's.
An ICE for Python, an IDE for data scientists, and JavaScript IDE. There's many of these. Hoi.
Okay, as far as my sharing of my screen goes, let's see. This might be difficult. Anyways, it's IntelliJ the IDEA Ultimate that you want to install.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate version. And what you can do later is set up an account, a JetBrains account, like with your ACC email address,
Mm-hmm.
and like it gives you like free access to, like, as long as you're a student and you have access to your ACC email, then you'll have like a free license to all the JetBrains IDEs out there. Um, so okay, so now that we got that installed, okay, so you already have the like a JDK or JRE installed because you've been using that
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
Oh,
Uh, for a while, I thought again with the Dr. Java problems, I thought I something screwed up with the JDE, but JDK. But no, I'm okay.
I
But I guess you should give an explanation
yes. So
being a
base
workshop. Yeah.
for other people, like when if they've never programmed in Java before, then if you download IntelliJ or any IDE, it's possible that it'll come packaged with like a JDK, but it's also possible that it's not. Or it's also possible that there might be just a link to download the missing JDK that you need. Like you'll have to have it and have it configured for that particular IDE, and that could be the issue that you're having with Visual Studio, is that maybe it's just not configured properly in Visual Studio for it to like compile
Yeah, but
correctly or something.
yeah, sometimes when I'm running stuff, it just doesn't work out. For the website project that sorry the game project that we have here. I know Spencer has apparently done like some little coding projects, and like I've been trying to run them on Visual Studio, but it does not work for me. Like I think it just might be a thing of like I'm not aware of how Visual Studio code works.
I think yeah, it's I would just Google like it's all about configuration. Like, there's so many settings and
Yeah,
configurations that you can go in. You just gotta Google it and see, like, and make sure you're like you can follow along on the instructions. Like, that it's the right version that you're like following along. Um, it's so confusing sometimes. Like,
yeah, that's a nightmare. I've dealt with that once when like last year I tried messing around with the Unity engine, and I was following a tutorial, but then in the middle, while I was doing it, it was like, "Hey, new Unity version came out. Do you want to download it? Cool." And then I do it, and then I try to load up my old project, and everything just dies.
oh no, that's horrible.
Yeah, yeah. So that was fun. I had to revert back. I had to revert back for that. But apparently, yeah, those game engines, like if you try to mess with them in a newer version, they do not want to work at all.
For everyone else that that would be watching this video later, I would just suggest either going to Oracle's website or just to find the Java 8, which is the most common version that's being used still. I mean, I think there's like Java 16 or something, but Java
Yeah.
8 seems to be what at least Baldwin and Kumi. I believe that that's what they're recommending.
Is it one of
Um,
those? Is it one of those long time support things? The LTS.
I think they just. Hey, Camden. This is Michael.
Hello there.
Hi.
A.
Um, so as far as long time support, I think they didn't want to make it long time support. Like basically, the Oracle's trying to make money off of like creating new versions of Java, but I think everyone doesn't see most like company, at least according to Kumi, according to Professor Kumi, most companies don't see a need to uh, like upgrade and start paying like subscription fees, but to for like new versions of Java. It's like, why can't we just use the free version of Java that seems to do everything that we want it to do? Um, yeah, at least that's what Kumi told us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see, Camden. Let me see if do you want me to fill you in on what we've talked about so far?
I'm down for whatever. But
Okay.
you said that when they upgrade that they have to pay a subscription, but OpenJDK wouldn't require that.
Correct. I think it's just the official like Oracle published one. Yeah, the OpenJDK. Yeah, I guess it's like for enterprise support or something like that for like a company if they have issues and like their whole system's failing and they want somebody to call so that they can get support. I guess that's how that works, but I guess now I'm getting now.
Wouldn't wouldn't an open source Java kind of count as like copyright infringement somehow?
I'm pretty sure Oracle's is a fork of OpenJDK.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I just know OpenJDK exists and that it's not infringement. But yeah, I just know a lot of people use OpenJDK. Um, I, now what confuses me is that I think like Java 8 and prior to Java 8, I think it was free. Like you didn't have to pay for it, or like I mean the one that was like official, like put out by Oracle or previously like Sun Microsystems or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's also
um,
important to mention that Java 8 is very old right now. It's 2014 was when it was released.
correct. Yeah. So yeah, that makes me wonder. Well, so now I wonder how correct Kumi is then. Like, I know he worked for like PayPal and IBM, but that might have been a while ago, and so I'm wondering how companies out there like what what exactly are they using? I know some companies are using stuff older than that, but they're behind the times. Um, let's see. Um, let's see. There's an attendance thing if you want to check attendance, but I think we're good from here. Let's go ahead and proceed forward. This is a little funny image that I just saw. Like there was a point at which for installations of Java, like it would they didn't update. I think their installation image. It just kept saying 3 billion devices run Java, and it just would always say that, even though, of course, the number of devices kept increasing. But
3 billion in 1997, huh? Oh wait, I guess technically it's saying the programs are all running Java. Okay. Yeah, that
yeah, I think as far as like 2015, there was like 7 billion or something. Um, um,
3 billion seems pretty huge for 1997.
right. The I guess the what has been said about Java, the what do you call it? The advantage or one of the advantages to Java or benefits is that it can be run on almost any platform or many different platforms. That it's not platform specific necessarily. At least that's I believe what I've been told. Um, um, so one common misconception is that Java and JavaScript are somehow related, and I mean, in a sense, they came from roughly the same time period, I think. But JavaScript came later. and sort of piggybacked upon the popularity of Java. Um,
By picking the name.
yes, that the name was popular, and so it was a scripting language, JavaScript, and so they decided to call it JavaScript. Is
A friend of mine once said that the similarities between Java and JavaScript are about as similar as a car and a carpet.
I mean, some of the syntax might look similar if you're coming from like something like Python. Like there's the curly brackets and like semicolons and stuff like that, but uh, not. Well, wait. I'm thinking of. I'm getting confused now. Okay. Uh, I mean, I don't think that they're anything alike. Is the best thing. So it started out in 1995. It was developed at Sun Microsystems and then eventually acquired by Oracle, and it's currently maintained. At least the official version is maintained by Oracle. Um, so it looks closer to C and C++ is what the syntax looks like. It's very popular. It runs on many devices. I've been told Java, like developer positions or software engineer positions, typically pay higher than some other programming languages. That could be debatable, depending on how skilled you are in other languages, and many times you use multiple languages anyways. So I guess like it takes a little bit more. Not, I mean, not for whatever reason, not as many people like specialize in Java or know how to use it well, at least according to Kumi. According to Kumi,
Do you think it's just a thing of like Java's so old and the other languages might have been like newer and thus perception is like they work better?
I think it's complicated. It's complicated as far as how to use it, what at least as far as what like proper OOP practices, like what is the best way, or what is the best solution to a particular problem. And so a lot of people might know a solution, but it might not be like like the optimized for performance or speed or something like that, or lines of code or something like that. Um, you would have to probably do a little more research, Google that or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even know that they had Java 17. I thought there was 16, but I guess.
You can
Wow.
even get Java 18 if you use EAP.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Let me go. Whoops. So I just came up with this like sort of short list of differences between Java and other languages. I started off with Python. Definitely, Python is interpreted. Although I have seen occasionally .pyc files that I believe are compiled Python files. Anyways, Python is thought of as, I mean, is interpreted, whereas C++ is compiled, and then some websites I went to said Java's compiled, but it's sort of it's sort of a mixture of compiled and interpreted in the way that it's compiled and then executed. Um, you can compile what using third-party tools.
There's a thing called Python, and that's how they compile to C, for example.
Okay, and is that what the PYC files are?
I'm not too sure about that because I don't do Python very often, but I do know that there's other compilers for going to C and whatnot.
I use the PyCharm IDE, and maybe there's some kind of configuration that I set where somehow it sometimes compiles it for some reason. I'm not exactly sure. Um, well, so I guess if you're coming from C++ into Java, the biggest thing that I noticed is that in C++ you have like garbage collection, like where you declare like um, a new object, like you use the new keyword, and then you have to delete it. Otherwise, you get like memory leaks or something. It can like crash. In Java, it's all done for you automatically behind the scenes. You don't have to do that. Now, that being said, there, like in some cases, you might want to be able to handle garbage collection on your own for different reasons. You might want that, what do you call it, customization, the ability to micromanage that. Um, but so in Java, you can create new. Uh, I think there is the like the new keyword uh, that is used, but you don't need to use the delete keyword like you do in C++. Um, and then there's, as far as pointers go, I mean there again, if you like Google like Java pointers, there are pointers in Java. You just don't use them. Like they're behind the scenes. Again, uh, correct. The JVM handles pretty much everything in Java. Like, well, not every. I mean, the JVM doesn't handle the compilation part, I believe, but the JVM handles, I think, pretty much everything else. Uh,
Wait, there is garbage collection now.
right. Yeah. It's. I guess yeah. No garbage collection. It's just short for you don't need to implement it yourself in via the code.
Okay, so it's not in the syntax. Is what you're trying to say?
You don't have to use the delete keyword like you do in C++. Um, and yeah, same with pointers. Is like there are pointers in Java, but it's like all behind the scenes. It's all behind the scenes. Uh, so in some ways, it's easier that you don't have to think about things like that in Java. But um, yeah, we'll go forward from here. Okay, so the source code are .java files. Um, and so that's what we code into for the most part. I mean, I think in more complicated, larger Java applications, you would use some maybe different types of files, um, but then we compile the .java files into .class files, and they're known as. I mean, if you open up like a .class file, it's not going to be what we would think of as very readable by humans or developers. And then we can run or execute the .class files using the JVM, Java Virtual Machine.
Yeah, that's the thing they put in my class, where it's like I have the class files compiled already, so it's supposed to the homework is supposed to copy off what the class file shows, and then you have to write out the Java file in accordance.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get to showing. I guess I mean you've probably already compiled via the command and executed via the command line, but I'll get to that at the very end here. Um, One interesting thing, like whenever I was like coming from C++, I thought it was like, well, why aren't we creating exe files? And I mean, I mean, I guess in C++ we would create exe files, or at least in the classes that I took. Um, but I mean, one answer is that it's platform non-specific, but another answer is that you can create these other executable files using Gradle or Maven or Ant, I believe, in order to create .jar files. I think are the most common that you can just like click on, at least in Windows, and they just run. And it's more advanced programming in order to create some of these, but it can be done. This was an interesting little diagram that I saw on Stack Overflow. And so this is why I say it's sort of like both a compiled time or compiled and interpreted programming language. That there's like a compiled portion and a I guess interpreted version portion of it. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Let me see if I can post this in the chat.
Which chat? I can do it for you if you want.
Okay. Oh, you got it already? Yeah, I had to. Oh, I thought I already had it pulled up, but now
Do you want in general chat or?
just in the Google Meet chat. Let's see.
Oh, Google Meet.
I mean, we can also put it.
I don't think it lets me.
Let's see. There we go. In case you wanted to look at that. Okay. I thought I would mention just real quick before we actually start pulling up an IDE and doing like a hello world is that let's see the courses the Java courses that ACC has. I looked up like the I've taken let's see ITSE 23 21 the OOP Java and I've taken the intermediate Java and I'm currently in the Hadoop one with Kumi. But so yeah, these first two I know are taught I think both by Baldwin and Kumi. Sort of and then I think these INEW I these two INEW courses I think they must be taught by Baldwin because they look like they're focused more on web programming and visual programming, which Baldwin focuses on. I would also mention that Java applets, to my knowledge, are not are being phased out. I think there's some legacy companies or legacy systems or services that might still use Java applets, but to my knowledge, most browsers have like disabled the use of applets, except like maybe Internet Explorer. Camden, do you know if that's correct or incorrect?
I do know it's been getting phased out lately due to like exploits.
Right. Yeah. So I wouldn't. So that being said, I would almost not even count this fourth class, this course that's being offered at ACC. I wouldn't even count it as a Java class because even if they're teaching Java applets, it's not going to be very useful information. Because it's not. Well, it shouldn't be being used if it's being phased out because of exploits. But I have worked at some companies where they continue to use Internet Explorer so that they can, so specifically so that they can use the Java applets that they don't want to like update or whatever into something else.
Is it related to what happened with Adobe? Yeah, Flash getting like knocked out because of security exploits.
Probably.
I assume as much. Yeah. So yeah, and then Hadoop is. Let's see. Just I guess a note on this last one. This is like part of the new bachelor's program in software development with. So Hadoop is a implementation of. I just oh gosh now I'm. Let's see.
Is it a framework?
Yeah,
or...
it's a framework for basically using distributed databases. It uses Java. So all of our coding is in Java. But I mean, I guess technically, um, we might be doing some like SQL type stuff later as well. But for now, it's sort of like we're using command line stuff and Java coding. That's what we're currently using in that class. Okay. Let's try to do a Hello World app. I'm gonna pull up IntelliJ because that's what I'm familiar with. I can pull up
Oh,
another.
right. I gotta ask you about that. When I try to activate IntelliJ IDEA, apparently they want me to pay like a significant cost in order to turn it on.
Okay, so you would need to go like I guess is there like a just a trial that you can just like try to use it for like a week or
Um,
something?
I can comment on this.
There is a trial version. I think it lasts for like 3 months or
Hmm.
so.
So there's two things. So there's a community version, and then also you can get the premium version if you sign up for the education pack, and you get all of JetBrains tools for free, along with other things.
Then maybe I have to. I guess maybe I have to figure that out.
Yeah, you'll need to go into the jetbrains.com website, like sign up for like a student account, and with your like ACC student ID, and then and then use that. I guess use your login in order to activate the your login to the JetBrains website in order to activate the IntelliJ.
Yeah, I also sent a link in chat. That's pretty useful.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a super useful. Like that has tons of resources, services that you can utilize, like including AWS, all sorts of like tutorial websites. Um, yeah, education.github.com/pack. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to share a different screen here. Um, okay, so this is when I first open IntelliJ, this is what I see. And so I click on new project to start a new project. Let's see. Do y'all see? Okay, I think y'all probably see this. Let me do something real quick here. And show.
One thing that always kind of scares me is the fact that there's so many like frameworks and libraries for different coding stuff that it's made me wonder. It's like, oh, it feels like more and more work. I
Right,
gotta
right.
read up more and more stuff.
Well, so the important thing on here is that when uh, yeah, just every IDE is going to be a little different. The way that like where you click, how you configure it. You might have different plugins. I think that's if you're following a tutorial, like and they're using one IDE and you're using a different one, and they use like a plugin. It's not many times you're not going to have most of the time you're not going to have the same kind of plugin, and you might if you're trying to follow exactly, you might have to use their IDE in order to do what they're doing. Um,
Hmm.
First off, when you start a new project with IntelliJ, you want to make sure that you're selecting or that there is like a project SDK selected. Up here we have I have 1.8, which is Java 8 selected, but you could in theory select a different one. You could download a different one. You could add one, configure it. Um, Anyways, I have one already set up. You could anybody could ask me on Discord or how to do that, and I can walk you through it. I'm just gonna go ahead and go forward to the next screen. So technically I don't select anything on this screen. Like there's a million different options, but I just leave it the way it is without selecting anything. I just hit next down at the bottom. Wait, first, are y'all able to see the entire window there?
No,
It
got off a
looks like
lot.
it's cut off.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Let me see if it gets better when I go to the next.
I mean, if anything, it looks like the screen got cut into like a 3x4.
You're sharing like a small window right in your full screen.
Okay. I think once it gets to the next screen, because I think it still has the first initial
Yeah,
screen.
probably.
Yeah. Okay, so on this one, on where it says new project, I click create project from template, and it has command line app highlighted, and then I go ahead and at the very bottom click next again. Let me see if I can make this smaller. Yeah, there we go. And click next again. So here, let's see, what did I mean? You can the location can be anywhere. I'm just gonna call it Java Hello World. And so it populates the project name to be the same as what you titled like the new folder to be called. It by default it does that. Um, when I guess you start, I mean, you don't actually have to, at least in IntelliJ, you don't have to specify a base package. I think in Eclipse, I think it does like a default package. Um, but anyways, just to make it easy, I don't put it in unless it's a requirement. I know it like if you're working for a company, they would have something like if you're working for something like Oracle or Microsoft, it would be like .com Microsoft for like the name of the company, or but we're just gonna leave it blank. And so then I click finish. Let's see, directory does not exist. We're gonna create it.
Nope, the screen disappeared.
Okay, let's see. I think I have to yeah, because that's okay.
There we go.
Okay.
It's back, and everything is viewable now.
Good. So it's like okay, so it's down at the bottom. It's like indexing, or it went ahead and finished. I think in the upper right it still says analyzing, performing code analysis. Okay, so it's done. What I like to do is always take a look at the project tab over here and expand out the project so I can see the folder and file structure. So I expand out the project, and actually I can tell there's something weird going on. It shouldn't be untitled like this. Actually, I'm gonna go in and edit this. Wow. Okay, that's weird. Okay, maybe let me get to that in a little bit. A little
It
bit.
might be because you used underscores in your name. You're not supposed to do it usually.
Oh. Okay, let's change this. Let's go back.
Is it that weird thing
It's
where it
not
just
going to
doesn't
impact
work?
anything. Just keep those as for now.
Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, I once had problems because I had spaces in my name.
So yeah, Java. I think yeah, Linux likes underscores. Java, I guess you just like stick it together. Camel case, I believe.
Yeah, uppercase, space, no spaces.
So it went ahead and created a src source folder. In IntelliJ, it has a configuration folder called .idea. That's where all your configuration files and folders are. For like if you're using Visual Studio or like Eclipse, it's going to have a different name for their configurations. So let's see. .iml is another configuration file that's specific to IntelliJ. So in the src source folder, you have like if you were to open this up in Explorer, it would just be the main.java file, but it's showing it sort of as a class, the main class, and within the main class you have the main function. And so we see that over here, like you have the class main, and then we have within the main class you have the main function or method. Uh, let's see, just to write what we're going to be doing is very simple. We just want to replace the okay, so within, like if you just like enter from the line above, it automatically tabs like uh, within the brackets, sort of like in C++. um, in order to write out to the console, if we want to do like a print line, we use the system, like it starts to guess what you're wanting to do here. We're doing system out dot print line. We can do like we can just do print, but we're going to do print line. And so within this, we're going to say hello world. And so, and then it wants a semicolon at the end. And so this is the hello world. Many times you might have to configure it. Like if you go to edit configurations, you might need to select a different class instead of main, but main is the only class that we have here. Or like you might have to change something, like use a different JDK if it's not compiling and running correctly. But I have it set up to run here, and so I'm just going to go ahead. Like you could build it first, but when you click this run button, it compiles and executes at the same time. So it's building. And so we see that it pulls up a little console here down in a little window here, and we see hello world as the output. And we also see that it created an out folder, and it has a file called main.class as the compiled .class file that we were talking about earlier. I'm trying to think. Do y'all have any questions as far as IntelliJ goes?
Not that I can think of. It seems relatively straightforward.
No, but I have something to mention. A shorthand you can do is on line 4, for example. You can hit enter and make a new line, and then from the start at new line, type SOUT, all lowercase.
SOUT?
Yeah, and then hit enter.
Standard out?
I
and
didn't
then
even.
they have
Wow.
that.
Wow, I didn't even know that. And yeah, and then to my knowledge, it doesn't matter whether you use like the single quotes or double quotes, except when you want to like put maybe one or the other within, like print out one, I believe. Anyways, like we could do another hello world here.
Single quotes are for single characters.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, syntax is kind of weird sometimes. I forgot which one it was, but like it would treat both as a
Wow.
string. But normally, if it's just single quotes, then yeah, it's supposed to be for like single letters, I think.
Maybe I've gone back and forth between too many languages recently. That's wow. I didn't know that shorthand. That's a good piece of knowledge. I wonder what other shorthands there are.
I can show you one more if you want.
Yeah, sure.
So delete the whole public site void main method and everything.
Okay. Like that.
And then type PSVMO.
PSVMO.
Oh, actually no O. Okay, so you have to retype that. PSVM. I guess it changed it.
Okay.
And hit enter. And they have that.
Nice. Um,
Magic.
I forget. Like it's been a while since I've done C++, but I assume this is like this like the string array for args or the arguments being passed in is the same in C++.
Probably.
I
It's just
think
an array of strings.
yeah, and it's like if you're doing a command line, if you're running it via command line, then it would pass it in.
Yeah.
Um, pass in the arguments.
Hmm.
Let's see. Oh wait,
It's SOUT and then enter.
interesting.
Yeah.
It has to be done a particular way. Let's see. Oh, and one interesting thing with IntelliJ is it auto saves by default, so you don't always have to keep clicking save. I think you can change that if you want to not auto save for some reason, but um, I like that it just auto saves. Um, let's see. I'm going to show you how to do this by command line. Like, even if we already know it, I'm going to um, open this up. Let's see. Let me share a different screen.
You can do it from IntelliJ's terminal if you want.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. Window. Okay. So we're back here. Let me go to terminal. Yeah, here we are. So the first thing, one thing you might want to do is make sure that your Java is set up correctly to even compile and run it from the command line. Because we have this set up already in IntelliJ, this is sort of redundant, but just for other people, if you're running it from like the regular command line, you might first just make sure it's installed, to make sure that you set your like environment variables correctly so that you can run Java C and Java from the command line. Like you might have to edit some of those things, but like if you run Java C space dash version, it should tell you what version of Java you're running, and that will, but if it gives you like an error, that means that it's either not installed or not, you don't have the environment variable, the path set up correctly. So you might have to go change that. So then to compile it, by the command line, we type in. Oh wait, some of this coloring is. Are y'all able to see the gray, the dark gray? Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Java C space dash CP, and then dot. If you have other libraries that you need to include, you can use like a semicolon and add like the path and the path to like I think it's different libraries that it needs to compile, but we don't need anything, so we have to put in the period though, and then we put in. Actually, I think we do need to go to. Let's see, dir. We gotta go into source, I believe. Oh wait, cd src. Yeah, we gotta go into where we could do it from the command. This is just how I was doing it before. Is like I actually go into the source file, and then I was trying to share the full screen earlier, and it started like doing this like weird. I'll show you what it was doing. Like when I was if I do the entire screen, it starts doing this whole flickering thing. Well, now it's not flickering.
When I was recording OBS in the last meeting, on occasion I would notice that the screen would flicker, but I haven't watched back the whole video, but as far as I can tell, it didn't really change anything.
Okay, if it's not flickering, then we're good. It was like earlier, it was flickering like constantly, and so that's why I wasn't sharing the full screen. But it doesn't
I hope it
seem to
didn't give
be.
you a headache.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, now it doesn't seem to be flickering. Okay, so Java C dash CP period, and then the Java file that has like the main function in it. And so what this does is it creates the main.class file. We can see that it created it right there. Which is not where it created it for when we did it like through IntelliJ, but it's fine. It's what we're working with right now. So then by the command line, we do we do use Java instead of Java C in order to execute it. -cp dot just main, which is the name of the class, or the dot class file. But we don't put in dot class. We just do main. And so it says at the terminal command line, hello world.
One thing to note, I don't think you need the -cp part.
Oh, you don't? Okay, maybe that's. I just was reading some of Baldwin's notes. Let me see. Let me delete this and see.
When I was compiling code for my project, I don't remember ever actually putting in the -cp
Okay.
at any point. Although it
-cp
might have
dot.
been something I needed in like the first few things, but I've really not used it, so I can't remember why I even did it to begin with.
I think the CP just copies it to a directory. So you're saying to copy to the same directory, but it does that by default, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think in Baldwin's notes, I was trying to like go off of, like I was just putting this together sort of, or refreshing my memory at the last minute, but yeah, he was copying to a specific directory, but yeah, we don't need to. So let's just do this again.
No dot. No dot.
No dot. Okay, got you. And let's
Yeah, you need to do .java if you're compiling C. Well, if you're doing Java C, but when you're just trying to run it, you don't need to put .java there.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay. Let's see. I think that might have been most of what I had. Oh, I'll have to edit these notes too, as far as the get rid of the dash C. Okay, so now it's open-ended. We can. Do y'all have questions about other IDEs, or do y'all want questions about anything Java related?
I guess like why would you recommend IntelliJ over the other IDEs? Is it because it's just like you can also use it for other languages, or is there something specific about Java?
Okay, so I prefer IntelliJ because I like how slick it is. It seems like it there's a lot of support if you Google how to do something, like how to settings or configurations. I can always like find how to do it. That being said, currently in the Hadoop class, we're using Eclipse right now to, at least right now, I'm creating jar files with Eclipse because he is just showing us how to create jar files using Eclipse. So, I just haven't gone through Googling and finding the exact way how to do it in IntelliJ. But I'm sure if I just spent like a couple minutes, I could do it just fine. So it goes to personal preference. Like I think I just like the JetBrains family of IDEs. I know when I was taking, what was it? So instead of 1336, like the COSC 1336, I took a ITSE 1359, which was like basically an equivalent Python programming class. And so that professor, Rudy Martinez, he recommended PyCharm which is the Python version of IntelliJ. He recommended PyCharm, and I really liked it. It really worked and clicked with me, and so I just went with it. And then so when I got into 1337 and in data structures and some other classes, I used CLion for C++. Trying to think what other. anyways, I've just and sort of I like a challenge of learning a new IDE as well, even if like maybe the instructor's not using that specific one. I just I I like JetBrains. That's just me. Um, but yeah, I guess I don't personally recommend Dr. Java or NetBeans for Java programming. But let me see. I have a bunch of let me make sure that y'all can see what I'm seeing. I pulled over a new window. Y'all can see that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, what do we got here? If you like Google Java IDEs, I mean, you can. There's like a bunch of them. Like in this list, for whatever reason, it doesn't even mention Visual Studio or VS Code for some reason.
I can kind of feel why. Like when I'm running it, it like kind of requires like okay, which compiler you're going to use to do it, and it's like kind of annoying.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I mean, I know like Visual Studio is great for a bunch of other things. Uh, but I mean, maybe for whatever reason, whoever like wrote this article or just thought maybe Visual Studio is not a good Java IDE. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I just like IntelliJ, but yeah, I think Kumi's preference is Eclipse. I guess Baldwin's preference is Dr. Java. Um, I don't
Man,
know.
at times I wish there was just like way less IDEs out there. Because it's like it's so hard to tell which one of these are even worth it in comparison to others.
I mean, I think in like graduate level like CS classes, you probably create your own IDE, and so or like people just on their free time might create their own IDE and customize it to whatever they want.
Oh
Um,
Lord.
yeah, and so you could do that if you want to. I don't. I mean, the trouble with that is if you don't if you or other people don't keep updating it, it gets outdated and eventually becomes obsolete. Um, so it's like one of those things. Like, is it worth it? I mean, maybe.
Did this thing get updated anytime in the last 5 years?
People still use Eclipse. I must say that. Because I have seen some like job postings where they say we use Eclipse and we expect you to use Eclipse. It's not super common, but I sometimes see that. I mean, I think many jobs might be, whatever, just as long as you write the right code. But I mean, I do know one of the companies I worked for, they used IntelliJ for their, or like at least in all of their like internal sort of like notes and stuff, they would have like screenshots of IntelliJ and they would say we recommend IntelliJ, for all of our developers to use IntelliJ for Java coding. Um, but that was one particular company, so each company might like in their software engineering department might have like their own preferences.
Just from my view, I've been seeing a lot of people move from Eclipse to IntelliJ, like majority of people.
That's yeah, I think it's up and coming. Like Eclipse was has been around for longer.
Yeah, I
Um,
figured it's Eclipse old enough that like everybody's just kind of worked around it.
yeah, I think Eclipse is still being updated. Like I think there's new versions coming out all the time. But I just think me personally, yeah, I think from also from what I've seen other and how other people are talking about like startups that are they always seem to be using like JetBrains IDEs, including PyCharm and IntelliJ. Like it just seems like people are shifting that way. Yeah, it's slick.
There's
It's
there,
modern. It's
there's
modern.
all yeah no there's always a bit of a sunken cost fallacy when it comes to these kind of things where it's like I've spent so much time learning this particular thing. Do I really want to spend time using another thing?
And if there's not a requirement to like, or if you don't, if you can do everything in the other one, and no one's forcing you to use a different one, then maybe you don't need to shift over. But let's say they're following a tutorial and they're using a particular plugin or configuration setting or something that you don't know how to do in the one that you're using, then maybe you do want to try it out. Or maybe you go to work for a company where they, for some reason, like your boss or a coworker says, "Okay, I don't know how to do it in yours. Let's do it in the one I'm using." Yeah, or or everyone has to use this one. So I mean, you might come across that situation.
I wonder what they do for studios.
For studios.
Sorry, I'm thinking of like game studios and stuff where it's like everybody's working on the same exact project, like sometimes very literally. So it's like
Um,
one. I wonder how that goes along. It's like, does everybody use a different IDE and then just paste the code into the engine?
no, for that it depends. It depends on the company.
Um, let's see. Okay, I think we already talked about some of this.
So if we're done, do you mind if we talk about Hadoop at all? Because I'm kind of curious about it.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about Hadoop.
So I have like
Um,
no idea what it is or like what you do with it. So I don't know.
let's see. I can pull up. I could pull up a Wikipedia article real quick. You can do that, I'm sure. I could pull up some class notes or like a PowerPoint. Yeah, why don't I do
I'm just curious on how you use it and like
how?
what the plan with it is.
So let me see. Let me think about this. How? So okay, so the first thing that you would want to like think about is distributed databases, and it being different than centralized databases, or it's a way for processing data that is uh, let's see, processing data. Trying to think here, processing data in like a faster way. Um, Let me see. Like, so it's a way, like, basically, if you were to split up your data into, I think they call them blocks, in order to process them faster, you could think of it sort of like multi-threading, but it's not multi-threading. Um, um, but you do have these like things where, let me see if I can get to like a good.
Because when I saw you using it, you're like using it to start the jar itself. I'm like, why isn't it just a library? You know?
Why isn't there? Oh, okay. Let me think about this. Uh, I've just like, let's see. Maybe it would be easier to pull up like a lab assignment. Let's see.
I mean, I'm just looking at it and going, "Tell me what the numbers mean."
So I'm trying to see. So we pull up like when I start up Hadoop. Um, let's see. Let me see. I do it via. I'm thinking outside the box here. Let me go to. Uh, let's see. CD ACC. I'm trying to. Oh, I'm sort of stumped here. Let's see. We don't need to know how to install. So basically, you open up these like different services. It's a weird class that we're taking since we only have one node. Like basically, we're running it locally, sort of like a centralized database. Where when uh, actually Hadoop would be used in like an enterprise, like corporate environment, like where you have multiple sites, like in different cities. So you might have like a data center or office that has like servers in different cities, and so you can set it up in different ways where like all the data is redundant, like the same data exists at every node, but like in at every server, no matter which server it is, it just like replicates the same data. And so that's really good. I guess but it starts to get into what if the data set is so large? Like, what if you're dealing with like Facebook data or I don't know, is it something crazy? But so there is like there are other ways of configuring it in such a way that you could have non-redundant data or server or nodes, like where the data is not replicated, so you have distinct um, data set up on the different nodes. Let me go to some other. Let's see. Let me see.
This sounds like the kind of thing which you would really need like something to test out if it worked or not. Like, I'm surprised you guys don't have like two different like servers to attempt doing this.
I'm trying. Okay, so I installed it. Let's see. Let me see. HDFS. Let's see. Okay, DFS start. I'm trying to remember this from memory. Um,
There's like
uh,
a replication of multiple databases and stuff.
yeah, it's a way like basically when you have it's for big data analysis basically. It's basically when you have so much data and let's say in order to process all that data, it it or like to analyze that data. Like what if you want to like filter out all the records in that database that fit certain conditions, but it's so large with millions and billions and trillions of like rows and columns, and so it would normally maybe take like a day, 2 days, a week in order to process all that data, but you don't have all that time. You want it to process it quicker, and um, so instead of just like adding like CPU power, or like to try to speed up the processing, you split up the data into into different blocks. They split it up into different blocks, and then you I guess it's mapped. So basically, it does like think of it like
Priority.
subtotals. Think of it like sort of like sub sub filtering. But so this is probably
Oh, I think I see some parts of it. So, does it make a fake file system?
yeah. So there is a file system. Yes, 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 yes. I'm trying to think here. Let's see. There's probably a better image to go with.
And then the files are probably shared across the network.
Yeah, so let's see. Let me find a better image. Um, course resources, PowerPoints, big data
And I
analytics.
kind of wonder why they didn't just integrate with the Java interface for file system.
I think in some ways this is Hadoop might be a little antiquated. Like there's other implementations of like other types of analysis. Like there's like Apache Spark, there's a Pig, there's Hive, there's some other let's see. Oh, okay. So, okay, this is what I was trying to remember. Hadoop is an implementation of MapReduce. So MapReduce is not language specific, but MapReduce is the overall concept that Hadoop is accomplishing. And um, so basically, there's two parts. There's like a map process, and then there's like a reduce process, like basically a mapper and reducer. And so basically, you think um, with the different nodes or splitting it up into different blocks, I guess it's mapped out, and then I guess there's like a combiner step, which I think of sort of like a subtotaling or sub filtering process for that block of data. And so it's sort of a reducer step, but it's in the mapper step. It's weird. And so, but basically, the reducer pulls all of it together. Like, let me just open up a. This will probably be easier. Okay, this is interesting. So basically, here's a mapper class.java, and it has like it basically is taking in a CSV file and it's splitting it via the commas. So I don't know, Jason, are you familiar with CSV files? The comma, what is it? Commas.
I am.
Okay.
Comma separated files.
Separating.
In the Programming Fundamentals 1 class, we did have a section where we had to split everything by the commas, like the data files we were given. So in theory, I can kind of read the code. It's more of the big picture thing that's currently eluding my brain, but like...
I mean, you could think of it sort of like this. You could, I mean, you might have like you could have a header file, like let's say like account name something, blah blah blah. You could, so basically, like, think of this like a spreadsheet or database, and you have columns and rows, but instead you got like it's a text file, but you have commas. So back to here, we split it up, like we input the lines, or we take the lines of the like a CSV file, or like a database that I guess it's somehow sending us comma separated values, and so it splits it, and then it iterates through, and so basically it creates keys and values, and it basically, at least in this, we're looking for, I think what we're trying to do is like we're counting the, okay, this was lab 5. Let me go to that input file. This will help you understand maybe it better. Okay, I'll open this up. So, okay, so the input is going to be, in this particular lab, we have like a bunch of like words that are coming in, and then it basically splits it up into, like, in this example, it's 3 blocks. And then so for like the first, and so maybe like the first line is the first block. And so it counts how many times does foo occur in that first line. 1. How many times does car occur? 1, bar 1. And then, it does the same. And so basically then it tallies it up for the combine step for the first block. It tallies it up. And then so in the final reduce step, it like combines all the subtotals into like a final total for the whole file, the input file being how many times does foo occur in the entire set of data. But think of this as like a huge set of data, like millions and trillions and lines. We're just doing like a simple example right here of counting up how many times does like something occur.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of operations as a count.
Yeah, no, I mean it is. So this is like the hello world like of Hadoop, yeah. But it gets so complex once the data gets crazy and you're doing like special filtering, like joins upon tables and stuff like that, or joins upon huge sets of data that Are you familiar with the term join as far as like databases go?
Um, maybe not.
Okay, like if I, let's see, if I, um, basically if you a join is like basically join like combining two different tables of a database,
Okay, yeah, I didn't know what it was on.
and you can tell it to join on like a certain condition or like between like using like a primary key or like a certain column from from each of the tables, and then it sort of um, yeah, it makes it into like sort of like a the resulting table is like a bigger table. Uh, anyways, it can get uh, overwhelming and time consuming to process the data once it becomes huge, enormous. So that's what so it's this Hadoop would not, or MapReduce wouldn't really be. Let me think about this. It wouldn't really be. I keep thinking of it as like only used in the corporate environment, but that's not necessarily correct because you could create a startup that like analyzes big data like if you're analyzing every single Twitter post or tweet or like every single Facebook post, you could create enormous sets of data. Or if you had like some kind of sensor, like with an Arduino system that's always like pulling like weather data, and you're trying to I don't know, like if what if you had like Arduinos set up in every city around the US, and connected to servers, or and it's uploading to the cloud, and it's just like trying to process so much data, but you only care about a certain subset of that data.
Yeah.
This that might come in handy.
Now, is there any benefit of using this over versus like a database implementation that already has it? For example, Rethink DB.
um I'm not familiar with Rethink DB.
Well, basically, there's like this command, like this code right here. They all you have to do is reconfigure a certain amount of shards and replicas, and it'll do all this for you.
um I guess I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, I'm curious as to, like, I do know, like, after talking with some friends, I do know that they think, I think Pig and Hive, I think somebody
Databricks.
somebody said Pig was really useful and handy, and you didn't really have to, like, I think Hadoop is really complicated, hard to implement. Um,
Yeah.
and it might be outdated as well. Um, but MapReduce as the overall concept is still being used a ton. But I think other implementations of MapReduce other than Hadoop are easier and better and more modern, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think there's many implementations out there that, and I guess anybody could make their own implementation if you really wanted to. Um,
I've just been looking around like Hadoop and like apparently general opinions about it. It seems like the basic concepts behind Hadoop are like solid, but like it sounds like other people prefer other stuff.
yeah, like really what this class is interesting. I mean, Kumi is teaching it because he knows it, and he knows that it's like, I guess the at least the concept of map reduce I mean, might be like you might come across it in on a job. Like you might hear that term, you might use a different implementation. So, anyways, he's teaching this class as part of the bachelor's program, and what's weird is, I mean, he's a Java person, and so he's teaching it from a Java perspective, and but so many people don't have like that great of a Java background, at least at ACC. Like, what's weird in my class right now, it's an in-person class. The first 3 weeks were online because of like the Delta variant or whatever, but but we've been meeting every Tuesday night at Highland, and we only have 3 students in our class, like me and 2 other students, and then Professor Kumi. And it's so weird. It's so weird. I think, I guess one person said that they didn't want to come in person because of COVID concerns or whatever. But another some other people, I guess one person had to drop because they didn't have like that good of a Java background, I believe. Um, I think some other, I guess, I think Kumi said that the first semester he taught it was which was in the spring. Um, this last spring he taught it. It was all online, but I think everyone just he was frustrated with the class because he could tell everyone was copying answers, like everyone had the exact same answers on every lab, and so he knew that probably people were sharing the like the lab solutions on Discord or something like that. So he was frustrated that I think everyone made an A, and it was like a much fuller class. It was like I forget what he said, like 15, 16 people or something like that, and pretty much everyone made an A, but he felt like no one actually knew what they were doing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, he felt like no one except one person maybe knew what they were doing.
Oof.
And so, so I guess he sort of restructured it so like the first lab of this semester for Hadoop was like just a Java lab. Like it didn't have to do anything with Hadoop. And so just to make
I,
sure that we had we had
Dang, that
I,
sucks.
I can feel that. Like right now, because of the gaming project, and I guess I'm technically a lead in that. I have to learn how to use React,
oh
but I haven't actually. I haven't really done JavaScript. So when I went to Udemy and paid for a React course, I started like the first like 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, oh shit, they actually think I know how to use JavaScript.
oh no. Okay, so one, you shouldn't be paying for Udemy courses because we can get, I think if well, at least there used to be a Udemy account that we had um that we at least went pre-pandemic. The CSSO was doing a let's see, Udemy. Let me see if
Well, that
this.
well that sucks. I wasted like $30.
Well, yeah. So there's like a CSSO ACC site where we can or account that we can use. Um, let's
We might
see.
we might have to bring that up like in the next meeting because like if it's pretty much a free resource, like that is a very strong free resource.
Yeah, because they have, okay. Basically, all of these courses have already been like purchased, and and I think, yeah, I don't know. I think there's some kind of subscription
Oh yeah, I
using
remember
this
this.
this like this shared login basically. And so
Yeah.
you could do like a intro like see this learn to program in JavaScript. You could go through that.
Yeah,
Um,
we're definitely gonna need to pick that up for like as a next meeting topic because like that seems like too big of a thing to just not use.
right. Yeah, people shouldn't be paying for Udemy.
I mean,
um,
I mean, technically I can get a refund back, but like, like they made the course, I might as well pay for it. But like, if I could get it for free, like, I'll take it for free.
Same
um,
for GitHub Student Pack.
the what?
The GitHub Student Pack. I
Yes,
feel like everyone should be using that.
yes. There's tons of tutorial sites that I think it gives you access, like 6 months or a year access on. I think
Just go to the
early.
website. It's like it lets you can scroll down forever.
Yeah. Let me pull this up. Let's see. Um,
Student developer pack.
yeah. This is
There's JetBrains.
JetBrains. You got Azure. Namecheap is like for domain name registration. DigitalOcean. I haven't really used
It's a
that.
VPS,
What is a VPS?
virtual private server.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I think name.com is another domain name registration. Okay, GitHub, we were just at a educative, I think, website over there. Um, front end masters,
Yeah.
I think I did. Front end masters was pretty good, I believe. Um, they only give you, I think, 6 months access, but I mean, I think they had some pretty good tutorials. Um, get
My
Kraken.
money.
uh, let's see.
But you get so much for free, it's crazy.
It just keeps going forever.
Yeah, you can literally just keep scrolling.
I mean,
I just need to beat my lazy ass out of this chair.
I
Actually try
Just put in your
to.
student email, and I'm pretty sure you're done.
I never had enough time to utilize all of these sources all of these resources before.
For me, it's just pure laziness. It's like, ugh, there's only so much I can learn in a day before I just give up on life.
You got to take breaks. You got to do other stuff, like give your brain a break sometimes. Come back to it when you're more receptive to learn more.
It's also kind of like working out. So you don't want to set your goals too high because then you'll quit forever. You want to have consistent but small goals that you achieve every day.
I can feel that, but also I need like a personal project or something because there's only like I can follow tutorials all day long, but if I don't actually do something with it, then the knowledge just escapes me.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to think.
But
React.
starting a project is hard.
React.
Use Minecraft.
Yeah.
Now when I so I first I taught myself like over when was this what is this fall, I think, I don't know, like a year ago or something. I taught myself JavaScript, and I had already, like, I was coming from Python and C++ and Java already, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And I had done maybe like some HTML before, but yeah, I did like a tutorial of JavaScript, and then I went into React and did like this intro to React. I did this like tutorial here, and then I did getting started. And so it like has you, like, if you just go through like the walkthrough, the step-by-step tutorial of how to do a very basic React application. I mean, it's easy, and it's like, okay, I've done a hello world React thing, and I mean, I'm not, maybe I don't know if I'm the best at teaching some of these like concepts, but we could go through like a hello world React, like, for another workshop if you want to.
That'd be fine. I was hoping in the next general meeting, like the people that I managed to finagle from my classes that joined this week would end up joining some of our projects, and like actually, I guess we would have more eyes and like views to talk about topics. Because I think the biggest problem right now is just like we don't got a lot of people work on these things. So it's harder to have like a sense of like responsibility and community behind it when it just feels like, I guess, like a project between like 3 people.
Yeah, I mean, I want to become more involved. It's just like,
I
yeah,
get that.
I've just been
So far,
juggling a lot.
I think a majority of the new people that joined our server this week came from me because I did like a sales pitch in both of my coding classes on it.
Okay.
So like when the next general meeting comes by, I'm hoping that they all, at least most of them would like join in so that we could have more people talk about it.
Okay.
We need more fresh blood.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty worn out. Unless y'all had something else. I mean, I
Yeah,
might call it a day.
Yeah. You did great, man.
One more
Okay.
thing before you go.
Oh yeah, sure.
So there's this browser extension called Dark Reader. I suggest you try it.
Dark Reader.
Yeah.
Oh, my eyes! It bleeds.
Let's see. Let me. Dark Reader.
Yeah. There it is.
Oh, so it's a Chrome extension, or
Yeah, it's either one.
Okay.
You should reverse the colors on any page that have like a white screen to them,
Need to add it.
Okay.
so it doesn't burn your eyes.
Let's see if this.
It's not going to do it to this page. It does to every other page though.
every other page?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
oh,
can't
okay.
it can't modify
From
the Chrome
from what I
store.
can tell, I think Dark Reader reads the like HTML, CSS like language, and then just checks if it's like pure white or not. And then if it is, it just changes to black or like
It's
this
just a
dark.
CSS theme.
Okay, awesome.
And then if it breaks any of your websites, you can go to the extension and just turn it off for that one website.
Okay, got you. Okay, yeah, no, that's. I mean, yeah, that's it's sort of one thing I like about IntelliJ is configuring it into like dark mode, and I mean other. I mean, I think any IDE you can put it on dark mode.
Yeah.
Um,
If
um,
they're pure white enough, and everything burns.
all right, I'm gonna call it a meeting. It was
Yep.
good to have y'all, and I'm sure some other people will get a chance to watch it if they weren't able to tune in with us. Um, okay, well I'll see you at the next general meeting.
Yep.
All right. Nice talking to you guys.
Nice,
Adios.
adios.
Peace.